You can expect decimal 0. You can expect seeing the pressure on the crew line.
12.0. 12.0, U2.
As expected. Mark, when he gets to 5.0, the depress pump and ISO valve will go closed.
Copy, 5.0 closed is depress pump manual isolation valve.
And I'm looking at pressures here, but if you see it before I call you, we'll take it closed and you can expect an alert zone.
Copy.
And for those just tuning in, the spacewalk getting close to starting. The depressurization is underway.
Good, enjoying the foghorn. DV2 is doing good. The suit P is stable at 5.0.
And we'll get that video com back with the station momentarily. For now, though, the pressure inside the Quest airlock drawing out from those pumps, bringing it down to vacuum. And then once that's complete, they'll be ready to switch their suits over to battery power, and our spacewalk will officially begin. But everything going well. We're pretty much right on the timeline. Scheduled to start the spacewalk around 7 a.m. Central Time, 8 a.m. Eastern. Should hopefully hit that mark in the next 20 to 30 minutes or so. In the meantime, a couple more questions coming in through social media. Again, if you have a question, use the hashtag AskNASA on Twitter, or go ahead and leave a comment on the Facebook live stream, and try to get to them throughout the broadcast today. We got one from Angela Horan on Twitter who wanted to know what's the biggest danger the astronauts face today on their spacewalk. Generally, the biggest dangers for spacewalks, which again, all of these are assessed and looked at before astronauts ever go out the door, are things like sharp edges. There are a lot of sharp edges across the space station that, since the astronauts are working with their hands, they have to constantly be cautious that they're not gripping anything that could cut into that glove. That's the most likely area to get any damage during a spacewalk. So you'll hear them throughout the day. They'll do things called glove and hap checks, where they will actually look down at their gloves and then stick them up to the cameras and reporting the quality. They're looking for any nicks, cuts, scratches, abrasions, anything like that throughout the spacewalk, and they'll do that routinely. And you'll also hear them do a HAP check. That's a check on the helmet absorbency pads. Again, you'll hear a lot of acronyms today. We'll try to get through all of them, but that is an absorbent pad in the helmet. For those that have been following spacewalks over the years, we did have an incident a couple of years ago where water was introduced into the helmet. Now, teams have done a lot of work over the years to understand and remedy that situation, but the HAP is in there, and you'll always hear them report whether or not it's dry, and we're always looking for that to be dry. And then Andy Cotticchio on Twitter asks, how much does all the equipment on a spacewalk weigh back on Earth? We don't have an exact weight. Those suits weigh in at about 300 or so pounds back down here on Earth. And then they have other units like the Safer, which adds some weight. And then all those drills are made from aluminum, but they're fairly heavy. And the mobile workstation weighs in at about 30 pounds or so. So they're definitely carrying a lot of weight. One of the nice things, though, they are working in a microgravity environment, so they can move pretty freely. But the important thing to remember is even though there's not gravity, momentum's still a thing. So it's very easy for the crew members to start moving when they're up there, but it can be a lot harder for them to stop moving. So that's one of the key differences between a lot of their training down here and actual execution up in space.
And just to confirm, the O2 position should be IV, correct? Affirmative. Thank you. Expected alert tone, EV1. V2.
So right now the pressure inside the airlock is about 6 psi. That's going to keep going down until they hit 5, at which point we'll have a pause. They'll close the valves and they'll stop the pumps. And then they'll hold at 5 there for a couple of minutes. They'll do a leak check on the suits. And then once those are confirmed to be in good shape, they'll report back down here to Mission Control Houston. They'll get the go, and then they'll resume depressurizing the airlock.
V1 showing 5.0. Okay. I'm going to close the manual isolation valve. Does Joe have the confirming millimeters? Say again?
Close the valve.
The valve is closed.
And so with the airlock at 5,
Valve is closed.
the valve is closed, and we're going to hold here.
We are going to do the leak check, so you're going to display status until leak check question mark is displayed. Hold a long yes for 2 seconds. Follow the instructions, and you should end up with the O2 actuator in the EVA position.
EV1 copies in work. EV2 copies in work.
So now Randy Bresnik and Mark Van Hybel doing leak checks on their spacesuits. So the airlock's at 5 psi, so it's actually close to the operating pressure of their suits. Both their suits pressurized to about 4.3. 4.2 was one of the last readings we heard while they were getting that ready inside the other section of the airlock. But they're going to hold here at 5. They're going to do these leak checks. And then once they get a good leak check, they'll report that back down here to Mission Control Houston. The teams will give them the go to begin depressurizing the airlock. Again, they're going to take it all the way down to about 2 psi in this next step. And then they'll pause again. They'll turn off the pumps as the pumps can't really function below that pressure. All of that excess air gets vented, and then that'll slowly draw it all the way down to pretty much 0 psi, so vacuum. And
EV2, recheck complete.
Okay, you boys should end up with O2 actuators and EVA.
That's in work. EV1, O2 actuator, EVA. EV2, O2 actuator, and EVA.
Okay, great. Copy that for both EV1 and EV2. Mark, you can take the depress pump man ISO valve to open.
Okay, that's in work. Depress pump man isolation valve is open.
Copy, and I'm taking the emergency MPAD to open. And again, monitor the suit P gauge pressure. Should remain less than 5.5.
EV1 copies. EV2.
And Mark, your next milestone will be at 2 psi, and the depress pump man ISO valve will come closed.
Okay. And to be a little careful about that, 2 psi for the airlock pressure, I'll take the manual depress pump manual isolation valve to close.
Affirmative, and I'll back you up here on the PCS.
Thank you.
with that sounding like good positive data on those leak checks, the EVA team talking here in Mission Control Houston, not tracking any issues with the suits so far this morning. And with that, ready to resume the depressurization. So again, right now they're going from about 5 psi down to 2 psi in that airlock. Then they'll turn off the pumps, and the remaining air will slowly get released from inside the airlock, and then they'll bring it down to a little under half a psi, so pretty much right at vacuum. Then the crew will get the go to go ahead and open up the hatch. Then all they'll have to do is switch their suits over to battery power, and we will be ready to begin today's spacewalk. Once they make their way outside of the Quest airlock, they'll stage all of their tools and then collect the foot restraints. Both of these crew members will be working in foot restraints for the replacement activities today. You'll hear those called the APFR, the Articulating Portable Foot Restraint. And they'll get those and all of their tools over to the work site, where they're going to be pretty much in just one area the entire time today. The arm will be located very close to the spare, and it's going to be driven by Paolo Nespoli from inside the International Space Station today, as he'll have to rotate it a couple of times while they're doing this replacement activity. And first thing will be to remove the old Lee, the latching end effector currently attached to the Canadarm2, and then they'll temporarily stow that, go and retrieve the spare from what's known as the POA, the Payload ORU Accommodation. ORU is an orbital replacement unit, essentially a fancy word for a spare piece of hardware on board the International Space Station. They'll retrieve that spare and install that on Canadarm2, and then they'll take the old one that they had temporarily stowed, put that where the new one was, and then they'll clean up the worksite and be done with their spacewalk for the day.
2.3, when we get to 2.0, are you going to confirm, or should I just do it?
Do it at 2.0.
Copy.
So creeping up now on that 2 psi mark, where they'll mark the next milestone in the depressurization of the Quest airlock.
Airlock pressure is 2.0. Depress pump manual isolation valve is closed.
Copy and concur. And then on the UIA, switch depress pump power to off.
Depress pump power is off.
I can hear that, thanks. Okay, gentlemen, if you can go ahead and report your initial tether configuration, I'm sure Hopper and the team over there will be writing all that down.
On the way. Want me to start here, Conrad? Yep, I'll start at this end. Alright, EV1 has red hook on left leaving extender, hooks closed, slider lock. Hook number 25 is unlocked. It has the green hook on the other point, and it is unlocked. The yellow hook is on the hook number 30. It is hooks closed, sliders locked. The large hook off of Urcum 30 is on my naval station T-bar with the hook unlocked. I have my left waist tether on my left evening extender, the hook closed, slider locked. I have the large hook on my left waist tether, hooks closed, slider locked to the right hook of EV2, number 27. Both are locked. Get from here, Sailor. Okay. Oh, but I just pushed them away from me. Can you just run through both of my safety tethers? Okay.
So each of the crew members just running through their current configuration. Again, they have a number of different tethers to keep them attached to the station at all times, so they have a very closely choreographed setup for all of those tethers throughout the spacewalk.
Safety tether, that's reel number 27. That same reel has a small hook, which is green on Urcum 29. That small hook for reel 27 is unhooked, but it's green, that's good. Then for Urcum 29, got the large hook, which is yellow, attached to Urcum 27. The yellow hook is closed and locked, and then the red hook, the small hook on 29, is attached to my right gearing extender. That hook is closed and locked. My right waist tether has a small hook on my right gearing extender. It's closed and locked. The large hook for that tether is on the airlock gearing extender. That hook is closed and locked.
Okay, that all sounds great. And if there's any deltas, I'm sure Hopper will pick that up once I hand it over. So with that, comrade, when the crew lock DP/T is about 0, you can expect an alert tone. And when the hatch delta P is less than 0.5, you can take the EV hatch to open and stow.
Copy.
And Vandahai, when you get a second, look up to this window.
Fabo, once you're done with that, if you could then slide up towards the hatch as much as possible. Okay, working on that. And rotate yourself towards the forward side of the airlock. Crew lock. That's, I think, as good as I could do. How's that looking? So I'll move you around where if I need to. Copy.
Yeah, it looks like your place is as far back as you can go.
And so with the tethers checked out, the crew's now just waiting for the pressure to get down to just a little under half of PSI. They are slowly escaping now from the crew lock portion of the Quest airlock.
Okay, thank you.
And once it gets down to below half of PSI, they'll be able to open up the hatch and then switch over to battery power, which will mark the official start of this U.S. Spacewalk number 44, the 203rd spacewalk in support of space station operations, assembly, and maintenance. And while we stand by for the pressure to get down, we do have another question through Twitter. Addie, who's 9 years old, wanted to know how many tools and what kinds are the astronauts going to be taking out with them. Well, according to the manifest, they have about 5 different tools with them, and they're primarily for working with various bolts that they'll be interacting with. They'll have some socket wrenches, essentially, to help get any stuck bolts loose, but the primary 2 tools that you'll see used, each crew member equipped with what's known as a PGT, a pistol grip tool. And that's basically a power drill that they're going to be using to unbolt and rebolt all of the bolts on the latching end effectors today. You'll see those in their hands in just a couple of hours once they get to work on that. The very large silver drills, they can fine-tune the torque, so the amount of force that they're giving to each of those bolts. Also as a counter to count how many rotations, how many turns each bolt gets, is all of that is planned out in advance. They know the teams calculate exactly how many turns they're expecting each bolt to get and just how much force they're expecting to have to give. So a very customizable drill, and you'll see each of the crew members today working with those. And again, if you want to ask a question like Addie just did, you can always use the hashtag AskNASA on Twitter, or go ahead and leave a comment in the Facebook live stream down below. But things continuing to go smoothly today. Should be about another minute and a half or so until the pressure is low enough for them to get ready to open up the hatch. We've been moving pretty much right on the timeline so far today, as the start of the spacewalk was planned around 7 or 7:05 in that neighborhood AM Central Time this morning. So we should be able to hit that mark very shortly. Still getting a look here at Joe Acaba, NASA astronaut who's been the lead for getting these 2 crew members suited up and getting ready to go out the door this morning. And he'll be supporting them from inside, along with European astronaut Paolo Nespoli, who's going to be at the controls of the robotic arm. He'll be doing some rotations of the arm and actually driving it in closer to the crew members once they get set up so they can do this replacement activity. So a short loss of video signal from the station. We'll get that back in about a minute or so, but we are getting very close to the official start of today's spacewalk. Again, that timer will start ticking up once they switch their suits over to battery power, as they are still drawing power from the International Space Station itself. And once they switch their suits over to internal power, the clock will start here in Mission Control.
When you're less than 0.5, feel free to open and stow.
So here's a view from one of the cameras on the external part of the station that's looking directly at the crew lock section where the two astronauts in their spacesuits are currently inside. The hatch part that you'll see open is on the top right part of that. You'll see well, you won't see the actual hatch open, but you will see the thermal cover, which is basically a layer of insulation to protect the hatch. That'll come open once they get the hatch open. But in just a few short minutes, we should start seeing two crew members come out of that hatch and heading over to their work site where they're going to be at for the duration of all the activities today, as everything just focused on replacing that latching end effector on the space station's robotic arm.
PSID's hovering just over 0.6. Copy. I just put my visor down.
So the pressure at 0.6, waiting for it to get under 0.5, then we'll have the go ahead and open up the hatch and stow it. So the pressure should be right around the neighborhood where they'll be able to open the hatch momentarily. So we should be hearing those calls any second now.
Copy, numbers look good here as well. Go to open and stow. And emergency MPV is going closed.
Coming away, Sabo. All right, crescendo is unlocked. Proceeding to unlatch.
And there you see the thermal cover open. And the hatch is now open. And with the hatch open, we're one step closer to the start. Again, it'll officially start when they take their suits over to battery power. We'll stand by for the official call from the EVA officer here for when the spacewalk begins. And then once they start, they'll be underway for a planned 6.5-hour activity to go out and replace this end effector on the space station's primary robotic arms, the Canadarm2. But for now, the hatch opened. The two spacewalkers, Randy Bresnik and Mark Vande Hei, both NASA astronauts inside the crew lock, and just a few steps away from beginning the spacewalk and heading out the door.
Done, Conrad. When you're ready, let me know.
All right, let me get the, let me make sure the latch is on. Is there anything I can do to help? Let me know. Can you get your feet, get more vertical in the, get your feet toward the zenith side? Perfect. All right, latch is confirmed open and latched.
All right, boys, when you're ready, I'll take power, the bat. Remember to stagger your switch throws. You can expect in a warning tone. And then check your display switch is functional.
Table, I'll go first. Okay. Make sure you're on the bat switch. Copy. You want the bat? Power restart and the bright light.
I'll take yours when you're ready, and just make sure I get a display switch functional call.
I had a power restart and a bright light. The bright light went out, and I do have a basic switch functional.
And you're good, comrade?
EV1 display switch is functional.
All right, Mark, on the UIA, switch power EV1 and 2 both to off, and you should have 4 LEDs out.
Hey, power EV1 is off. Power EV2 is off. All 4 LEDs are out.
Just have a go to disconnect the SCU from the DCM and install them in the DCM cover.
EV1
and install the DCM cover and stow the SCU in the pouch.
2 copies.
And so pretty much exactly on time. The suit's now on battery power, and the spacewalk officially began at 7:05 a.m. Central Time, 8:05 a.m. Eastern. Again, the suit's now on battery power. The spacewalk timer officially underway. That start at 7:05 a.m. Central, 8:05 a.m. Eastern. With the suits now on battery, they're stowing those service and cooling umbilicals that they've been drawing power, breathing gases, and other life support items from the station itself. And once those are stowed, they'll be ready to move out of the airlock and on to their first task, which will be removing the old latching end effector currently attached to the space station's robotic arm.
Cover for EV2 is installed. DCM cover for EV1 is installed.
And Mark, when you're able, can you check the depress pump man ISO valve is closed?
Depress pump man isolation valve is closed. And my SCU came out of the cover. Conrad, I'm thinking once you leave, I'll just fix the routing because I don't have a lot of movement in here right now. Okay.
Okay, when you guys are ready, take your temperature control valve to max H, max hot.
Stand by. Stable. That's in work. Stable. Yeah, please. I'm going to hand back to you the depress repress cue card from up here. Tether got wrapped around the SCU and then ripped out, so it is untethered. What I'd like you to do is put this in crew lock bag number 2, please. Okay. And just tuck it in the side, not on top. Actually, now I have a depress, I have a crew lock depress key card in my hand right now. I understand. The one that I'm handing you came loose from up front here. Okay? Okay. So please put that inside of crew lock bag number 2. Okay. That's in work. And using the cardboard grip on the tether point. All right, EV1, SCU is stowed.
Okay, copy.
And that card is stowed in block bag 2. Thank you.
Well done.
All right, let me know when you're stable. Stable. I'm stable. Okay.
If you guys are in a good config, temperature control valve max hot.
EV1 max hot. EV2 max hot.
Okay, we'll get switch water to on.
All right, EV1. You can show on the water switch with the mirror. Water switch coming on. EV2 water switch on.
Okay, check DCM blank byte off.
EV1 blank byte is off. EV2.
Temperature control valve as desired.
EV1 setting 6. EV1 setting 4. EV2.
And if you can check your suit P gauge, let me know what it is between 4.2 and 4.4. We need a suit P gauge from both of you.
EV2 4.3. EV1 4.2.
And Houston airlock on 1.
And go ahead, Joe.
You guys don't need anything on step 13, and you guys will handle step 14 as well?
And that's affirmative, Joe. We are good on step 13, got good data, and standby will confirm 14. And Joe, we have step 14 complete.
Okay, with that, gentlemen, I'm going to hand you over to Hopper. Have a great run, and we'll see you in about 6 hours.
Sounds great. Awesome work, Joe. Thanks, Joe.
Okay, Joe, I'd also copy that. Thanks, Joe, and just like to say nice job to both you and Paolo this morning, and Comrade and Sabo. I just want to confirm one thing on the configuration. We did have a good check on everything, but we had a little Radicom and didn't hear your reels unlock call. So if you can just confirm that.
EV1 reels unlocked. EV2, both reels unlocked.
Okay, gentlemen, copy that. And standby 1. Okay, gentlemen, if you're ready, we're going to go swap out a couple end effectors so you have a go, Comrade, to egress the airlock.
EV1, copy, go to egress.
And with that, we see EV1, Randy Bresnik. You'll hear him refer to his comrade, his call sign, Bresnik Marine, now moving outside of the airlock. For the duration of the spacewalk, they're going to be talking to fellow NASA astronaut Mike Hopkins. You might hear him refer to as Hopper throughout.
Copy.
And he's going to be the ground IV, basically walking them through their procedures today.
More gorgeous, heavenly than I saw when I was here 8 years ago. If you're here.
It's good to see you back outside, Comrade.
Thank you. Good to be here. Thanks to everybody who got us here. All right, EV1 has my one hook on the aft D-ring. Let's close sliders lock.
Copy.
Hey, comrade? Yes? Do you mind poking your head back up here and telling me if I got my umbilical wrapped in a strange spot behind me? All right, just a sec.
And just to run through call signs real quick for you, Randy Bresnik, who's EV1, he's in the suit with the res stripes that we can see right here. His call sign, Comrade, you may hear him referred to as that throughout the spacewalk. Mark Vande Hei still inside the airlock, goes by the call sign Sabo. He's going to be EV2, wearing the suit with no stripes. And then they'll be speaking with Mike Hopkins, also known as Hopper, down here in Mission Control Houston, who's going to be the ground IV, walking them through the procedures. And meanwhile, on board the station still Joe Acaba and Paolo Nespoli, who help suit him up. And then Nespoli also going to be controlling the robotic arm a little bit later in today's spacewalk.
It's impacted by my bliss? Yes, behind your bliss. If I move to the left a little bit? Come this way, I'll see if I can pedal it over the top. Coming towards you. All right. That'll hold a bit. Just about around. All right. Now, can you pull it forward with your right hand? All right. Yep, keep going. That's what I was looking for. Good stuff. All right. And then behind your bliss, as you come out, if you could take the whole hook from my SCU line and attach that to structure, that would help out as well. Okay. All right, I'm heading back out to hook up your tether. Yes, sir. EV2 safety tether is on the forward view ring. Hooks closed, slider locked.
Okay, that sounds like a good config, Comrade. You can give EV2 a go to release your his waist tether.
There you go, to release your waist tether and to egress.
And
thanks, Comrade.
And Sabo, as you go out, can you just confirm that both of the SCUs are in the pouches still?
I will check that. I see Comrades, and gosh, that is beautiful out there. And they are both still in.
Okay, we copy. Then you can pass out crew lock bag number 1 to Comrade. Make sure that's the one with the ball stack.
Copy. Good morning, Egypt and Israel. Beautiful view of the Red Sea, Suez Canal, and Dead Sea.
Mark, this is Joe on 1. It's the other one.
Thank you.
So with everything configured, the crew now making their way out of the hatch. Mark Vande Hei joining Randy Bresnik.
All right, I have my hand on the wrench. All right, BOT's on, right in a moment. Copy. V1 is running BOT to the crew lock bank. You have to go to release your tether. Okay, that should work. I've released the tether. The tether is on the airlock D-ring extender. I'm taking myself off of the airlock D-ring extender. And I'm coming up. Like the SCU config? Do you like the SCU config?
Okay, we're standing by for your guys' buddy checks.
Roger.
And so there we see Mark Van High now fully in view. They're going to go ahead and close that thermal cover.
Station or EV1.
They'll do some.
The cover is closed. You can stop the clock.
Copy that, Comrade. Thanks.
Now they'll do some quick buddy checks before moving on out.
I see both your safer handles are down. Okay. 1, 2. You need to push your left handle on your safer down. Thank you. All right. I see one handle. 2 handles down. I see 3 tabs up. I see you have a good config with your tethers. And I see a good green light. Go ahead and turn one of your lights on, just you got it. And that's a buddy check complete on EV2.
Okay, we copy that, Comrade. And Mark, we had a handover in the middle of yours, so just give me a good that you got all of Comrade's buddy checks.
All the Comrade's buddy checks are complete.
All right, copy that. If we can get a just kind of a baseline glove and hat check from the both of you.
EV1, big curve check, nominal config, half check nominal. EV2's half check half is dry. The left index finger, or the index finger on my left hand has some RTV that's peeled back. Otherwise, they're good. Right, make note of that so that if it changes, no. Copy.
Yep, that's a good plan, Mark. Just now you've noted it and make sure nothing changes as we go.
Copy.
Okay, Sabo, if you want, you can perform some translation adaptation, but otherwise we're going to head out to the P1 worksite.
Okay, I'm going to do a little translation adaptation. Right up here. And Houston, that was might have been one small step for a man, but one giant leap for Sabo. Congratulations, my friend, on becoming the 221st human to exit your own personal spacecraft into the void of space. Thanks, Comrade. Appreciate those words. Happy to be doing this with you. That's it for all of the tender moments you'll get from me. Now back to work.
Exactly. Okay, guys. So that's just a reminder, slow and steady, and let's go get her done.
Translation adaptation complete for Sabo.
Okay, Sabo, you're going to...
additional tether check we talked about? Nope, I'm doing that now. Thanks.
Okay,
did it.
All right, Sabo, you're over to ESP2 with 3. Pick up the APFR, and Comrade, you're up to Cedar Cart, the Port Cedar Cart.
And work, EV1. As you turn towards ESP, Sabo, take a look at that moonrise.
And so we should be getting video back in just a couple of moments, but as you were listening to that conversation, they did their buddy check, so they did their initial checkouts, and now they're ready to start heading out to the various locations. They're going to converge at one work site to work on replacing this robotic arm. And why don't we just take another look real quick at this animation narrated by today's lead spacewalk officer, Jackie Kagi, walking through all of the primary tasks for today's spacewalk, which began about 20 minutes ago, expected to last 6.5 hours. Let's take a look.
The crew egresses the airlock, and we plan to carry one bag of tools to the worksite on EV1. EV2 will gather a foot restraint from ESP2 prior to heading to the worksite. Our worksite is near the center of station for the entire EVA. We base our tools on the CETA cart, and then we set up foot restraints on face one of the truss to enable us to reach the arm. The crew ingresses the foot restraints, and the arm flies in between them to allow for the changeout. There are 2 blankets that need to be released to uncover the joint interface. Since the crew cannot reach all 6 EDFs, or the bolts that we need to release at one point in time, we will release 2, rotate the arm, then we will power down and drive the demate connector, and finally release the other 4. The degraded joint will be removed, and the crew will translate it to the CETA cart to a temp stow location. Next, the crew will work on the POLE, which is our spare. After power down and demate of the connector, the crew works together to release all 6 EDFs in a star pattern. They release the LEE and translate it to the arm worksite. The crew inspects the interfaces prior to mating, and then they will install 4 bolts to an initial torque. We will power up the arm and rotate it so they can reach the other 2 bolts. Do those to a final torque, and then we will rotate it again to be able to do a final torque on the first 4 bolts. Time permitting, pictures of the bolt final config will be taken prior to putting the MLI blankets back on. Next, the crew will retrieve the degraded LEE from the CETA cart and move it to the POA. They will install all 6 bolts to a final torque, and then finally they will start cleanup from the EVA. They'll gather all their tools and their foot restraints, and they will place the foot restraints in ideal locations for the next EVA. After that, they will return to the airlock for ingress.
And then again, just an overview of all of the tasks being undertaken today. That was narrated by Jackie Kagi, who's here in Mission Control Houston right now, leading the EVA team, and her entire team following along with the procedures, the spacesuit data from these 2 crew members, and assisting the flight director and the entire team throughout the operation today. And then right now, though, they're in the very beginning of today's spacewalk, which did begin a little over 20 minutes ago at 7:05 a.m. Central Time, 8:05 a.m. Eastern. They're in that initial task where they're heading out to pick up the various foot restraints and then moving their way over towards the work site where the robotic arm will be waiting. First, they'll remove the old LEE, the latching end effector, and then move it to a temporary stowage position, and then get to work on getting the new one off of its currently stowed position and moving it onto the robotic arm. We should be getting video back of the crew members in just a couple of moments, and then they are moving towards an orbital sunset, so it'll actually be dark for the crew members in just a couple of minutes, but still daylight for now, so she'll get a couple more good views of the robotic arm and of both Randy Bresnik, EV1 for this spacewalk, and Mark Vandehei, EV2.
Up to Cedar Spur.
Okay, gentlemen, handover is complete. I'm back with you. And Sable, we copied that you're at the Cedar Spur.
Copy.
And gentlemen, just so you know, at this point, met rates are looking good. Keep it up.
You do like copies? I got my green hook on the starboard stanchion of the unit handrail on the port seat cart.
Copy. And comrade suggestion is between square grids, Charlie and Golf on the Cedar cart there for the crew lock bag.
And EV1 TC is now on 8.
And with that video signal required, we're already getting the helmet cam from one of the spacewalkers. In the lower right-hand corner, you can see the number 18. That means this is Randy Bresnik's helmet camera. Again, he's EV1, the lead spacewalker. We should get a helmet cam shortly from Mark Vandehei. You'll see the number 20 in the lower right-hand corner on his. But again, right now they're getting ready to set up the work site, so Randy Bresnik's temporarily stowing the bag full of tools, and then they'll be retrieving what's known as an APFR. Each of the crew members will be working in one of these. It stands for the Articulating Portable Foot Restraint, essentially a foot restraint to help lock the crew members in place to ensure that they're able to work. When you're working in this microgravity environment, every time you push, it pushes back, so needing something to really hold them in place is they're going to be driving a number of bolts on the robotic arm to remove this latching end effector.
And I'm under the port Cedar cart. Just directly above you.
Okay, Sable, you want to attach your green hook to that Nader handrail on that Cedar cart.
Great call, thanks.
And you can see night starting to fall on the crew members as they get their work site set up. You can see Canadarm2 just in front of your view there. The helmet lights on for these crew as they work. They're about 250 statute miles over Russia right now in an orbital nighttime.
Since Comrade's still working on the crew lock bag, you can go ahead and hit translate out to Bay 10 and looking for width 8. And that's where you can install your APFR. I'll give you the settings when you get there.
Copy. That's in work. One has the looks like one red to square grid Charlie. Remove the false identifier combo.
And so right now, Mark Van High moving towards what's called a WIF, a worksite interface. It's basically a location where he's going to be able to attach his foot restraint. Randy Bresnik will be doing the same in just a moment after he gets a crew lock bag, basically a bag full of tools temporarily stowed.
The muckball stack is attached to Zenith handrail. Is locked. The panel's wrapped.
Okay, we copy that. Attached to the handrail, and it's locked. You can bend it port 90 degrees and make sure the jaws are open.
Okay. And the wreck from the crew lock bag is with it correct to go to the square scoop?
Yeah, so you can take the adjustable from the ball stack down to the square grid on the CETA cart, and then you've got the RET as well attached.
Right, adjustable is from the ball stack on the mater side to square grid echo. RET is on the ball stack, ready to go to the square scoop. Use your rotation, and then we'll be done.
Okay, looks like a good config if you want to have those jaws open, ready to go. And after that, you're going to be getting the APF bar from WIF 3 right to your left.
Concur. Jaws are open, pointed port. And the ball stack is tightened.
Copy all, comrade.
Both fine end effectors show black on black.
And Sable, you're going to be looking for a clock-in of 9 in WIF 8.
9 in WIF 8, okay?
And now getting a signal from the helmet camera for Mark Vandehei. Again, you'll be able to tell the difference between the two helmet cams by that small number in the lower right-hand corner. 20 means you're looking over the shoulder of Mark Vandehei, and the number 18 means you're looking over the shoulder of Randy Bresnik. Right now, a little over 33 minutes into today's spacewalk since they switched their suits to battery power at 7:05 a.m. Central Time. They're still in their first task, which is just basically a worksite setup, getting foot restraints and other items positioned so they can begin removing the degraded latching end effector from the end of the Canadarm2 robotic arm. That'll be the first step in this replacement activity, which will then see them swap in a spare, which is currently located very close to their work site on something called the POA.
Good pull and twist test.
All right, that sounds good. Your next settings, Foxtrot, Foxtrot, Foxtrot 3.
Foxtrot, Foxtrot, Foxtrot 3. Thank you. EV1 is ready in VRT. Did a whiff in whiff 3. Pull it out.
Okay, copy that. You're looking for whiff 15 in Bay 12.
Copy. Hopper, would you remind me for the PSR pitch? It's full out on this now, correct?
So for the pitch,
Rotate to unlock.
you push in and then rotate it counterclockwise.
All right, so working on that. All right, Sable, I'll be heading up out here. Copy. I'm not getting a lot of love on this pitch setting.
Okay, copy that, Sabo. Stand by. We'll give you some words here.
Mechanically, I don't see how it would go in. It's on a beveled edge that you're going to move your, and if you put your, oh, you get your visor up, and then move your ingress aid. That's tight. Actually, maybe I can, what's the, Hopper, would you say again what the YOS roll setting is?
Your Foxtrot 3.
Okay, Foxtrot 3, that's not going to help out. Oh, it's 3 o'clock might help out. If we just stand it straight up. Okay, go for it. Oh. Yeah, thanks. That's stiff. That is stiff. All right, let's get back to this pitch. All right, heading over top. PGT is going to hook it, I think. Yep, your PGT is about to hook it. Clear. Thank you. Getting a view in my WVS.
Yeah, we can see you, Sabo.
You know what? You're sure it's supposed to go in to unlock, huh? Oh, you know what? It didn't have to go in at all. It was already fully in, and it just took a hard twist harder than I expected. So,
That's good news, Sabo.
It's being adjusted right now. Good news, Sabo. I agree.
right, Sabo, you can confirm Foxtrot, Foxtrot, Foxtrot 3.
Working on 3.
And comrade, you're looking for a clocking of 9.
Copy, clocking of 9.
Sabo, once you get your APFR configured, we're going to have you hold there. Enjoy the views. I know it's night, but
Good view of the moon.
well, you can enjoy the view of the moon for about 5 minutes or so.
I copy. As soon as I get done with this setting, no, correct?
Yeah, that's affirmative.
Okay, I can confirm Foxtrot, Foxtrot, Foxtrot 3.
Nice job, Sabo. Yep, take a break, and that's on that pitch knob. That's good information there that you didn't have to push it in anymore. It just needed a good twist.
It was a stiff twist, but the thing wasn't going in or out.
Yeah, that's interesting. So we'll make sure we note that down for future reference.
Thank you. Check your tether configs while you got a minute. Yeah, make sure you like everything. I like it. How you doing, comrades? We have the EPFR in with 15, clocking of 9. Good pull and good twist test, black on black.
Okay, we copy that, comrade. You're now looking for Foxtrot, Golf 9.
Foxtrot. Good work. Foxtrot, Golf 9. Back on the A12 EPFR, and it looks like a good setting.
Okay, that sounds good, comrade. What we're going to have you do is go ahead and head back to the CETA cart and get that square scoop for Sabo and then pass it off to him.
All right. Just going to extend the egress rate, get that set up, and then I'll be on my way.
And so with that, another foot restraint set up, and they're continuing to do all this worksite setup. Again, the first task for today is going to be removing the old latching end effector, also known as the Lee, from the space station's robotic arm. Once they're done with this initial setup, they'll get into those foot restraints and then give the go to Paolo Nespoli to move the robotic arm into its position where it'll be basically a little bit closer to them, where they'll be able to work on it directly. And the first step of removing that arm, they'll remove 2 thermal blankets, and that'll give them access to the actual interface where all of the bolts are. There's 6 bolts in total holding the Lee in place. They can't get all 6 at once, so what they'll do is release 2, and then they'll give the go to have the arm rotated, and then it'll get powered down, and then they'll remove the remaining 4 bolts, and then they'll get ready to actually remove the entire end effector from the robotic arm. And they are fairly large. They weigh about 400 pounds and measure 42 inches by 42 inches by 35 inches. So fairly bulky and fairly heavy. Luckily, microgravity aiding them in their movement to be able to carry such a heavy weight, but they'll get this old one off and then temporarily stow it and then go and get the new one that's been sitting outside of the International Space Station and get that attached to the robotic arm. Again, the one that's being removed started seeing some issues, some increased friction back in August while they were walking the arm off, basically going end over end to move it to a new location on the station. And in order to get it back to its full functionality, they want to replace it with a essentially new version of it. This one that they're replacing has been in use for about 16 years now and has been used over 400 times. They'll be replacing it with one that's only been used about 14 times, as we heard from our friends at the Canadian Space Agency a little bit earlier in the broadcast today.
Body's got to process all that food he ate. You know what we're talking about, Hopper, don't you?
That's right.
It really is amazing looking up at the great zenith of the station right now is a full moon. EV1 has a ret on the square scoop, and we're moving a true like that ret.
Okay, copy that. If you want to go hand that off to Sabo, and then the two of you can start to get ready for ingressing the APFRs.
Back your way, Sable. Okay, I'm to the Gator side of this APFR. All right. I'm going to cross to the port side of it, and I will be ready to receive. We've got our safety tethers nice and clear. 3. You're liking your mini workstation end effector so far. So far, so good. I have a ret handy to put in that. That's close. CBQ ret, how's it? Has a red on it? EV1's removing here. Okay, I got it. I have control of the scoop. And before we hop in the EPFRs, have you taken a look at the distances? The what? The distances. How close we are? Oh, we are super close. Yep. I think all that stuff we talked about, we should be able to do. I agree. All right. Get that on your main workstation and work on getting in the APFR. I have to go to start working again?
You do have a go, Sabo, and you guys can set up to ingress the APFRs. Comrade, just a reminder, if you need to, fair lead on the UHF handrail there.
That's right, thanks.
So with pretty much everything set up, they'll be momentarily getting into those APFRs. You'll hear them referred to. That's an acronym that stands for the Articulating Portable Foot Restraint. And both of these crew members are going to be working from those foot restraints while they work to remove the old Lee, the latching end effector, from the end of the robotic arm. But we're already 50 minutes, believe it or not, into today's spacewalk. The battery, the suits switched over to batteries at 7:05 a.m. Central Time, 8:05 a.m. Eastern. Spacewalk targeted to last about 6.5 hours in total.
I'm going underhanded on the ingress A. Do you need to? Copy. V2 is in.
Okay, good job, Sabo. Just verify that you've got your ingress aid tucked in. If you need to, you can attach the NWS end effector to the ingress aid to help keep it close, and also attach your waist tether to the ingress aid if necessary.
Okay, I've got my waist tether on the boot plate, and my mini workstation end effector is on the ingress aid.
Okay, copy that.
Getting good views through the helmet cams. Again, if you're just tuning in, you can tell whose camera you're looking through by that number in the bottom right corner. The number 20 is Mark Vandehey's camera. The number 18, Randy Bresnick's. The two right now getting into those foot restraints, pretty much facing each other. And shortly, the robotic arm will be flown right in between the two of them for them to begin working to remove the old latching end effector currently attached to the space station's robotic arm and get it ready for a new one shortly after.
And Comrade, are you in?
UV1 is in.
Okay, copy that. Copy that. Same as I said to Sabo, ingress aid tucked in, and waist tether and NWS as necessary to help that out.
All right, end effectors on the ingress aid.
Okay, I'm going to give you a warning right now. We want to have you keep your hands away from the Lee openings, particularly snares and curvic coupling teeth. And once we get the Lee free, as a reminder on that EDF end, we don't want you to have any contact with the grounding points, connectors, and bolt threads. How copy?
V1 copies. Copies.
All right, gentlemen, you have a go from us to give the arm a go to move into position.
V1 copies. V2.
And Comrade, that'll be on your call to Apollo.
Copy. I'm Warren, EV1. M1, EV1. When you go back like that, Sable, you're almost touching the spare. I saw that. I can actually see the spare. All right, while we're waiting, we'll wake up our PGTs, do them cows. Go. Two cow passed. EV1, good cow, good volts.
Okay, EV1 and EV2, this is M1. How do you read me?
M1, you got your loud and clear. EV2, loud and clear, or EV2, loud and clear.
You copy and understand we are go for GCA.
All right, Paul, you're going to be a for GCA.
Bye.
You're going to be going station aft.
Copy. Here is coming motion. Your way 2 meters. Motion is in.
Good motion.
Copy. Good motion.
And there you can see the robotic arm in motion now. European astronaut Paolo Nespoli is inside the station controlling the robotic arm from a robotics workstation. Right now he's just moving it a little bit closer to these two astronauts currently in their foot restraints, where they'll be able to access that latching end effector and begin getting all the bolts off of it. Just for reference, it is the part at the very end. It's a little over 3 feet in length, or about 3 feet in length.
Coming, that's probably going to be close.
And there it is coming into view. This from the helmet cam of Randy Bresnik, the lead spacewalker for today's operation on his third career spacewalk. Again, the first part, the first task that they'll have is going to be to remove some insulation blankets currently covering the area where the bolts are located.
50 centimeters. 10 centimeters, slowing down.
Okay, stop motion.
Stop motion.
I mean, I don't know about you, but another 10 or 15 centimeters station aft would help. Okay, let's check. Got that. Hey, Paolo.
Okay, copy. 15 centimeters station aft.
So 15 centimeters station aft. Motion.
Copy. Good motion.
And stop motion.
Motion is stopped.
All right, GCA complete.
GCA complete. Thank you.
Okay, comrade, first thing you're going to be doing is the FMS MLI.
Understood. And Sable, just make sure you're careful as we bend in towards station. We're not dragging stuff from our mini workstation stuff into the lead. I agree. Thank you. Bending forward at the waist. All right, EV1 has a rep on the FMS MLI.
And from M1, the brakes are on.
Thank you. Okay, I'll take it from there, Comrade.
And so now with the arm a little bit closer and within reaching distance, they're going to begin removing this MLI multi-layer insulation, basically some thermal and debris protection blankets covering the area where all of the bolts are attaching the latching end effector to the arm itself. And there's 2 of these blankets for them to remove.
All right. The one on the CLA already came off. Can you grab the one on your side? Working on it. Hey. I'll take the FMS blanket. I'm going to
And we just passed the 1 hour mark into today's spacewalk. Again, targeted to last about 6.5 hours.
I agree. That 10 centimeters was not necessarily helpful for that. I'm going to put this scoop on.
Should hopefully be getting a sunrise in about 3 minutes, so things will get a little bit brighter through the helmet cams of these spacewalking astronauts. Randy Bresnik, who we're looking over his shoulder, you can tell by that small number 18 in the lower right-hand corner. Right now they're removing some insulation. Mark Vandehei on the other side of the arm. Helmet cam number 20, he's assisting, and then once all of this insulation's off, they'll begin working in tandem to release each of these bolts. You'll hear them referred to as EDFs. They're expanding diameter fasteners. They're bolts that, as they get driven in, actually shorten and expand to provide a much higher friction hold for the actual latching end effector when it's attached to the space station's robotic arm. And there's going to be 6 bolts in all. They'll do the first 2 and then pause while the arm gets rotated and powered down, and then they'll move on to the remaining 4. 6 in total holding it in place, and once they're all released, they'll be able to detach this latching end effector and then move it to a temporary stowage location, and then go and grab the replacement one and get ready to attach that one onto the Canadarm2.
It tucks back behind these square scoops pretty well. Have on your right-hand corner. All right. Let's get over on this side. Should we?
Okay, gentlemen, a couple of cautions.
Yeah, get on this side too.
Just a reminder on the not to pull with significant force the lanyards because you can break those when you're pulling out the EDFs. Another note too, we're not going to turn more than 5.5 turns because that could unthread the EDF bolt head, and make sure you avoid side loading the EDFs when pulling on them to prevent damage to the EDF. How copy?
EV1 copies. 2.
Okay, next I'd like to verify each EDF has at least 1 retention lanyard intact before we release them.
I see bolts 2, 3. All right, go ahead and get your 3 and 4, I believe. Get ready to get your visor down, Table. Okay. Thank you. Visor's down. And assuming that these are in order, the innermost bolt, I can't see the label, but 2 is the zenith one for me, 3 is in the middle, and then I'm assuming it's 4 for the mater, and they all have at least 1 retention lanyard. In fact, they all have 2.
Copy that, Sabo.
5, 6, and 1. Both have both retention lanyards and fullness lanyards. Not yet. I have all lanyards intact.
Okay, that sounds good. Next, we're going to configure the PGTs, Bravo 7, counterclockwise 2.
And so first checking that each of these bolts has a retention lanyard, basically something that can make sure that once they're detached, they're not going to float off. And now they're going to move on to releasing the first 2 bolts. They'll do them one at a time, so Bresnik will go first.
Comrade, you're going to release EDF number 6, 5.5 turns.
Copy, 5.5 turns. On 6. Motion.
You can see him working with the pistol grip tool in his hands there. They can input data to give it an exact torque values, basically the amount of force that it's impacting on the bolts.
You can pull the released EDF to the max limit. And Sabo, you'll be setting up for EDF number 3.
You can see Bresnik pulling the first of 6 EDFs, expanding diameter fastener, the bolts holding the Lee in place, the first one out now.
5.5 turns.
5.5 turns. Out, full length of the retention lanyards.
Okay, copy that, Sabo. We show number 3 and number 6 are out. And Sabo, did you confirm 5.5 turns? We had a handover right then.
Confirm 5.5 turns.
Okay, copy that. Then verify your ingress aids are tucked in, and Sabo, make sure the CLA rotation envelope is clear because it's going to be coming towards you, and then you can work the GCA with Paolo.
And Conrad, to get to that, I think we're going to have to take that, I don't know. I'm not sure how easy it is for me to get down low to that way to put the scoop on.
How was the work envelope for the EDFs? Can you go station forward at all? Work the EDFs?
Would it still work for me if we went station forward?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Do you think maybe 10, 15 centimeters?
Yeah, 10 centimeters, 15 centimeters. I think I could make it happen for sure.
M1, EV1 for GCA. EV1 M1 ready for GCA. Apollo, if we could start off with station forward, 10 centimeters, please.
Just station forward 10 centimeters in work.
Double check your ingress aid, please.
Ingress aid is clear.
Good motion. Got the full trim, Paolo?
Actually, I did not even move anything yet.
Must have been me moving.
The planet.
Yep.
So you still want 10 centimeters forward?
Yes, please.
Okay, here's come. Motion is in.
Motion. Stop motion?
Motion stopped.
All right, how does that work for you, Sable?
That'll work.
Okay, Paolo, you are cleared for the wrist roll.
For the copy, wrist roll in work.
With the first 2 bolts out, now Paolo Nespoli, the European astronaut, inside the station, positioning the arm. They're going to roll it over, essentially to give access to the demate mechanism and also the remaining 4 bolts, give access clearance to the crew members.
Motion is coming in on wrist roll. Motion is in.
Great motion. Hey, Sybil, we're looking for access to our other 2.
Roger.
Maybe like 10, 15 more degrees. And stop motion.
Motion is stopped.
All right, how's your access? Hold off. GCA complete, but don't put the brakes on yet.
I'll be standing by.
And I have excellent access to everything I need.
EV1 the same. All right, Apollo, GCA complete. You put the brakes on.
GCA complete. Thank you.
Okay, gentlemen, I've got a couple more things I'd just like you to check. I saw that you have access with your PGT. I want to verify, too, with the EDFs by hand, because once we do the reinstall, you're going to have to push the EDFs in by hand.
Control. I've got access from here.
And from M1, brakes are on.
Thank you. And traffic works. EV1 can be 6 and 3 for the final pull on the landers as well once you reinstall the staff. So this is in a good position. Paul, if you could take note of this, please. Bring us back to this spot.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Randy. I didn't copy you. Say again.
We'll use this spot for the install and the final torque checks.
Okay, copy. I'll mark the numbers. Thank you.
All right, Sabo, got that scoop on? I do not have the scoop on yet.
Yep, that's the next step for you, Sabo, is to install that square scoop.
Thank you.
And, comrade, you do have access to the mate demate. And how's your access to the handrail?
Access to the handrail is good.
Okay, we copy all of that.
Square scoop is installed.
All right. Good pull test?
Good pull test, yep.
Okay, if you're happy, comrade Sabo, we're going to power down the SSRMS.
Houston, got to go for power down.
Copy that, in work.
And so the ground IV here in Mission Control, Mike Hopkins, giving the update, their go to power down the space station robotic arm. It was just rotated, giving additional access to the remaining 4 bolts and also the mate and demate mechanism. And you can see things much brighter now. The station now in an orbital daytime. This looking through now the camera of Randy Bresnik, who's EV1 for this spacewalk. You can tell by the small number 18 in the lower right-hand corner there. Pretty shortly, he'll be disconnecting the mate-demate mechanism, and then both he and Mark Vandehei will get back to work releasing the remaining 4 EDFs, the expanding diameter fasteners, or the bolts that are holding the latching end effector in place on Canadarm2. Once those remaining 4 are released, all 6 will be out, and then they'll be able to remove the Lee and then move it to its temporary stowage location.
Okay, gentlemen, that was a quick 5 minutes. The SSRMS is powered down.
Copy.
So, comrade, the next step for you is going to be the mate-demate mechanism, Alpha 4 counterclockwise 3 on the PGT.
We have Alpha 4 counterclockwise 3 to 35 turns.
That's a good readback, 35 turns to hard stop. And you do have a go for that turn.
All right, PGT on sweep, then recal. Now good volts. Right. Alpha 4 counterclockwise 3.
That's a good setting.
Grab on the mid-demate. Good motion. Alpha 35. For 35. 2 for 35. Turning for 35. All right. 30 for 35. Got to a hard stop. So that's 33 and a half. Did you see the teammate indicator out?
Okay, copy. 33 and a half turns, and indicator is out. Sabo, for you, again, just verify you got those lanyards. Bravo 7 counterclockwise 2, EDF number 1, 5.5 turns.
EDF number 1 has the lanyards. I got Bravo 7 counterclockwise 2 for 5.5 turns.
Comrade, you can Bravo 7 counterclockwise 2, get ready for EDF number 4.
Bravo 7 counter 2. Ready for 4.
And 5.5 turns on...
So with the mate-demate mechanism release, now going to work on the remaining 4 bolts holding the latching end effector in place.
Ready drive on 4.
Okay, we see you out. And Comrade, you're going on 4. Sabo, get ready for EDF number 2.
Copy.
Drive it on 4. Motion. Five and a half turns on 4.
Ready for 2. Actually, yeah, okay.
EDF is out on 4.
Okay, copy that. Sabo, you have a go for EDF number 2.
The retention lanyards are in place. Five and a half turns. And that EDF number 2 is out.
Okay, copy that.
My PTT so I can get...
Yeah, we need a good glove and hap check.
Control of the scoop.
Glove and hap check.
You're on from both of us right now, Hopper?
Yeah, glove and hap check for both of you.
EV2 has dry hap. No change to my gloves, except for the fact that that flap that was on my left index finger is completely gone now. But otherwise, it's looking mighty fine.
Copy.
I'm meaning it's no longer attached to your glove.
It's no longer attached to my glove, yeah.
That's it. V1, nominal gloves, nominal hats. Sabo, take a look at VF6 by my right hand, VF 3 by my left. See how there's 4 collets visible there? VF6 is floated in, so you can only see 3.
Okay, we copy that, Comrade. Sabo, can you verify you do have a ret to the lee?
I do have a ret to the lee. Hooks are closed. The hand is also on the scoop.
Okay, copy that. So you've got positive control of the lee. Comrade, Bravo 7 counterclockwise 2. It'll be EDF number 5. And Sabo, you give the go.
Comrade, your go.
Roger that. All right, and all your EDFs are out of their max extension or retention lanyard?
Yep.
Okay, here's a new little trick. On 6, it turns out the retention lanyard, see the way this washer turns up? It's actually hooked over the top and it's shortened the retention lanyard.
I see.
So check that. So again, we should see 4 collets on all of them when they're out. All right, ready to drive on 5. Drive it on 5. Motion. 5.5, 1-5.
Copy. And so, Comrade, I know you've been checking them, and as you pull this one out as well, just verify one last time all the EDFs are out.
Hey, they're all out.
We got them all out because the leaves loose, all right? I'll just see how well you control it, Sabo, so when we come back with the spare. You know, it's misaligned a little bit.
Yeah, yep, it's all the soft dock feature now, so I'm going to have to pull hard to get it to come free of that.
Okay.
Ready?
All right, we're ready to bring it off from the arm.
Okay.
You have control.
I have control.
While we're here, let me look at the blind mates. There's a good look at the blind mate connectors on the degraded one. They all look good. All right, you got it?
I have the lead.
Okay, copy that. Good blind mates, and you guys just need to work that over to the MUT, ball stack MUT. Make sure it stays retted all the time, and just as a reminder as well, on the length of the rets, don't overextend them.
EV1 copy.
And with that, the old lead, the latching end effector, now detached from the space station's robotic arm. The crew are going to walk it over to a temporary stowage location where it's going to sit until later on in this spacewalk. But that latching end effector, which was the focus of today's spacewalk, now removed. This is the one that had been showing some issues back in August. Some of the grapple fixtures stalled out, and those are responsible for transferring power and data from the station to whatever it's grappling onto, whether it's a visiting vehicle or something like Dexter. So this one now detached, they're going to go stow it and then get the replacement one from something called a POA. It's a payload ORU accommodation. ORU is orbital replacement unit. So they'll get that detached, bring it back over to this work site, and bolt it in, basically a reverse process of what we just watched with this detachment. And then they'll go and stow this one a little bit more permanently, and they'll be done with that spacewalk. So 1 hour, 22 minutes into today's spacewalk, the old Lee off the arm on its way to a temporary position. And pretty soon they'll be grabbing the new one for installation.
Okay, we copy that.
The EV1 has the FMS MLI adjustable that I wrapped it with and tethered it with is now on one of my mini workstation bits on the plate of the APFR, so I won't miss it.
Okay, we copy that, and we see that, Comrade. Looks good.
How's the space looking? You think we're going to make it?
Oh, yeah. You may bring it back over your body a little bit, station forward. Yep. Sabo. You can lean back and stretch. Switch the scoop into your right hand.
To my right hand. Yeah, my left hand.
I understand.
Do I have my right hand?
Okay, go ahead and lean back and look, yaw to your left. Look towards the zenith. You have any more range of motion there?
My arm, yes, but not with my body.
Okay.
I mean, I can oscillate into that position. I can't stay there very long.
All right. Just hold that. I'll get my red on it.
The crew member is doing a quick handoff now. Mark Van High carried the Lee over to this position. He's going to hand it off to Randy Bresnick, who's going to get it into position for where it's going to be stowed temporarily.
I do not have the lead.
And then they'll be ready to move over and grab the replacement part and go back to their work site, back into the foot restraints, and get the new one attached to the robotic arm.
All right, stay low like we talked about. Come on up by the crew lock bag, and you'll be adding the square scoop into the fitting.
Copy.
Boots or on the back of your place.
Copy.
As we approach the 1 hour 27-minute mark into today's spacewalk, everything going smoothly. The two crew members a little bit ahead on their timeline so far, getting off the old latching end effector without any issues, and now getting it over to its temporary stowage location. Then they'll get the replacement off its stowage spot and move it over and get it installed. So everything going smoothly so far with today's spacewalk that began at 7:05 a.m. Central Time. One programming note for you, at the top of the hour at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, the NASA public channel is going to be switching over to coverage of the first meeting of the National Space Council, which is chaired by Vice President Mike Pence and will be attended by a number of administration officials, along with acting NASA Administrator Robert Lightfoot and aerospace industry leaders. Spacewalk coverage is going to continue on NASA's media channel, and you can find that at nasa.gov/live, and we'll continue constant coverage on our live stream on Facebook at facebook.com/ISS. So stay tuned to the public channel for that National Space Council meeting, or switch over to media at nasa.gov/live or here on the live stream on Facebook, and we're going to continue this spacewalk coverage for the duration.
Put a local down on one of these upper square grids. Copy.
That's done.
Okay. As you come up, put your right hand out and look for your scoop. I'll need your help moving it towards port.
Now, I'm going to red to it, or do you not want me to red to it?
There's no need. I've got my red.
Okay, I have the scoop.
Okay, so that's enough control.
I have control. I actually have to move it quite a bit towards you.
I've still got it. I'll move out on this direction. And we're clear. Keep everything clear of the mark. All right. Now, put yourself in position to put the square scoop on.
Roger.
And then I'll give you control.
Okay.
You have control?
I have control.
Just try and match. As soon as you got it up there, I'm blind to the front end effector.
Okay, the jaws are almost closed. We got to, there we go. Off towards zenith a little bit.
Towards zenith?
Actually, no. Pitch towards me, the bottom end towards me.
Bottom end towards you. Got it.
Okay. Almost got those jaws closed. The paddles are now out.
Okay. Lock it down.
That is locked.
And if you could give it a quick pull test as well, make sure it's good.
Pull test is good.
Okay, copy
the
that.
red from the ball stack and red to the square scoop, please.
Red from the ball stack. Okay, will do. Get a large hook from the base of the ball stack and putting it.
No, it's actually, Sabo, it's actually the red.
No.
On the ball stack, so leave that.
Stack, on the end effector.
I see it. Thank you. Nice catch. Okay, so now there's a rep from the ball stack to the first scoop.
Okay, and you should have an adjustable from the ball scout to the seater cart.
I have an adjustable from the end effector to the seater cart.
Okay, that should be a good config. Let me move on over. I will get this thing into pointing port.
I can help with that if you...
Yeah, you'll be doing the main control. I was just going to get the position to where I can help.
Okay.
And guys, we confirm that's a good config on all the rets and the jaws. And again, we're just looking for that orientation with the lee opening facing port.
All right.
In that orientation.
A little bit more, if you can. You loosened up the collar on the ball stack?
I did not loosen the collar on the ball stack.
That's trying to loosen that just a little bit, and then retightening it.
How's that?
That's like a good config, Sabo. Nice work.
Yep, that looks good from here. Sabo, as soon as you get that tightened up, we do have one config change. We'd like the small hook on that adjustable to actually go to the tether point on the ball stack versus the jaws.
Okay. That's in work.
Okay, other than that, looks like a great config. Comrade, can we get another glove and half check from you?
In work.
And the adjustable small hook is now on the second tether point of the ball stack.
That's a great config, thank you, and glove and half check from you as well.
V2 half is dry.
EV1, gloves nominal, hat nominal.
Copy.
And that's NASA astronaut Mike Hopkins popping into view every once in a while in that top left corner. He's the ground IV. He's the voice you hear speaking to our two spacewalkers today, Mark Vande Hei and Randy Bresnik, for 1 hour, 33 minutes, 45 seconds and counting into this spacewalk.
Comrade, looking for the square scoop. And we're going to be moving on to the spare lee on the POA.
EV1.
You got the square scoop here, so let me just pass it to you.
Hold on.
And just a status for you guys, your met rates are looking great. Keep up what you're doing. And at this point, we're about 15 minutes ahead on the timeline.
Copy.
Copy.
with the older latching end effector now temporarily stowed there. That's another milestone down for today's spacewalk. You just heard Mike Hopkins relay to the crew. They're about 15 minutes ahead on the timeline. Still not tracking any issues with the suits and everything looking good and going smoothly so far today. No stuck bolts or anything like that so far, and hoping that luck continues on to the next task, which is going to be grabbing the spare latching end effector from its current location. It's on something called a POA, a Payload ORU Accommodation. Basically a stowage location for ORUs, orbital replacement units, pieces of hardware for the International Space Station. They'll be detaching it from there, going through pretty much a very similar unbolting procedure that we just watched over on the robotic arm itself, and then they'll move it over and re-bolt it into the space station's robotic arm, and all of this being done to restore full functionality to the arm, which used for a variety of purposes on board the International Space Station, from capturing visiting vehicles to grappling with the Dexter robot to grabbing onto the station itself. But everything, again, going very smoothly so far with today's spacewalk. We're 1 hour, 36 minutes and a half and counting in.
And Sabo, if you could just drop down to your right a little bit, Nader, I'll scoot on by.
Say again?
Just move a little bit, Nader.
Okay.
If you got room there.
I definitely do.
Thank you.
A second.
And comrade, when your first steps out there will be the square scoop.
Copy.
I have the camera on my workstation.
Okay, copy that, Sabo. While you guys are working here, just a warning, you want to avoid the contact with the PDGF grapple pins and the target pins. They're going to be near both of you in these work sites. Sabo, you're going to move down towards the swing arm, rotate it to position 27, and then we can configure the APFR.
Copy.
Hey, before you do that, Sabo?
Yep.
Before you leave, could you go back up to the adjustable? No, the adjustable on the ball stack. And Houston, if we could allow him to, like you just did, temporarily quick undo one of those hooks, we can clearly my safety tether behind that.
Oh, I see.
Let's switch over your helmet.
Actually hooked on the seat of cart, too.
If we just barely leave it behind that adjustable, it'll be fine, because I'm the one taking off that adjustable anyway.
Roger, my, okay. On the way up there.
Houston, we got to go for that?
Stand by. You have a go.
Thanks. Oh, there you have it. Well, it's got a taste as well. We took it off the upper port handle on the seat of cart there on the receiving side, and it failed right behind the adjustable. We don't need to do anything.
That's a good config camera for you?
Yep. Now, just above your head is the trunnion.
Okay. The hopper on this APFR worked as advertised. I pushed in on the pitch knob and very easy to rotate to a lock position.
Okay, copy that. And do you have the
20?
you have the swing arm down to position 27?
Oh, the APFR and the swing arm was in a position that blocked my ability to rotate the lever on the swing arm. I just have to adjust that first. I'm working on the swing arm now.
Okay, I copy.
Okay, the swing arm is now locked in position 26. Needs to be 27 though, doesn't it?
And 27 is what we had called out.
27 it is. There now.
And then if you just want to verify the other swing arm settings, it should be in 6 Golf Golf. And a reminder, Golf Golf, the two arrows will be pointing at each other because those letters are pretty small.
Copy, checking. I can, with my glasses, see Golf Golf. Shout out to the opticians in the world. And got a 6 Golf Golf.
Okay, copy that. Then for the APFR, we want a clocking of 6.
Can work.
And reminder, if you have to change the clocking, you're going to want to put a red on that.
Very good. Oh.
All right, EV1 has a square scoop on the spare.
Okay, copy that. You can start working the EDF MLI.
Go. And EV1 is removing my ref from the scoop.
Okay, we copy that, Comrade.
Locking is 6, good pull and twist test. Lock on black.
Okay, copy that. Good pull, twist, clocking 6. Next, you're looking for Juliet, Golf 12, and you can remove your ret now. Comrade, once you get that EDF, if you want to do an assessment while we wait for Sabo, and we're looking at, I think it's number 2 that you might have issues and may need the ERAD. I don't know if you can do an assessment of whether that's necessary or not.
Just looking at that, and you should not have any trouble with two.
Oh, that's good news.
Yes.
Okay, comrade, we have the inhibits in place for the POA, so if you're ready, you can get yourself in position for the mate-demate mechanism.
All right. I'm going to finish trying to get this EDFFLI put away.
And again, Juliet, Golf 12, Sabo.
That's in work. I got Juliet, Golf, working on 12.
Roger.
12 is set.
And so right now the crew about to begin the removal of that spare latching end effector. As we do get closer to the top of the hour, though, another programming note for you. We are going to be switching coverage on the NASA public channel at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, over to the first meeting of the National Space Council, which is being chaired by Vice President Mike Pence. Spacewalk coverage is going to continue on the media channel. And also, if you're watching online at nasa.gov/live or at, on our Facebook page at facebook.com/ISS, spacewalking coverage will not stop. It'll continue right along. So we'll still be here showing you as Randy Bresnik and Mark Van High continue working through their tasks. But over on the public channel, we will be covering the National Space Council, which is going to be chaired by Vice President Mike Pence, attended by Acting Administrator Robert Lightfoot, and then a number of members of the administration, senior officials, and also aerospace industry leaders. So stick around for that coming up at the top of the hour, 9 a.m. Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern. While they get into position to release this spare arm, we do have a couple more questions coming in from social media. And as a reminder, if you have any questions during the spacewalk, feel free to jump on Twitter and use the hashtag AskNASA, or just leave a comment in the Facebook live stream below. From Daily STEM on Twitter said that their students are arguing, is it low gravity or no gravity for the spacewalking astronauts? Low gravity is a little bit more accurate. The correct term is microgravity. And essentially, the astronauts are in free fall along with the space station, which is why they're experiencing microgravity. If they were to be at a complete stance.
Hey, you're watching NASA TV, on the air and online every day, on this planet and beyond.
Gentlemen, and welcome to the Stephen F. Udvar-Hazy Center. It's my very great pleasure to welcome you here today. It is an honor to host the first meeting of the newly reestablished National Space Council. By choosing this location to begin their work, the Council is sending a strong message about its intentions for our future in space. Rather than an executive boardroom or an agency conference room, this first chapter of the new space age will be written here among the icons of our nation's highest, proudest achievements. From the helmet and gloves of Neil Armstrong wore when he planted the flag on the moon, to Discovery, champion of the Space Shuttle fleet, the James S. McDonald Space Hangar contains artifacts that capture the scope of America's legacy and future in outer space like no other venue. From the beginning, the space program has been a partnership between industry and government, working together toward important national goals. From the first Mercury capsule to the International Space Station, private-public partnerships are the foundation of how America solves complex problems and accomplishes great things. Many of those same organizations are here today, helped us build this museum, and we're delighted to have them back. And we're grateful for the part that they have played in the country's new course in space. The person leading that charge is no stranger here. During his tenure as representative of the Indiana's 6th District, he led a virtual field trip from the Udvar-Hazy Center to classrooms back home, ensuring that children in Muncie had the same access to the Smithsonian Institution as visitors to the nation's capital. That commitment to our shared mission of inspiring future innovators and explorers will be the key to National Space Council's bold vision for the future. This summer in Houston, the Vice President welcomed what he called the newest class of American heroes, the 2017 class of NASA astronauts. He said they will carry our nation to even greater heights of discovery and inspire our children and grandchildren every bit as much as their forebears in this storied American program. Those 12 men and women are of a generation, now the largest on Earth, born long after we took our first small steps into the next frontier. The work begun here today will map out the giant leaps they will make on behalf of their country. Captain Gene Cernan, the last man on the moon, described the Apollo program as a decade out of time, a 21st century event born into the middle of the 20th century. 50 years later, the time is at hand for the heirs of Apollo to take up the mantle. It will be up to that new generation of innovators and explorers to lead the next great adventure. It is up to us to pass them the torch. It is now my great pleasure to welcome the Chair of the National Space Council and the Vice President of the United States, the Honorable Mike Pence.
Thank you all. Thank you all. General Daly, thank you for that kind introduction. And thank you for your extraordinary